What's going on, everybody? Anthony here with Lancer Tactical, and today I have a really special interview with a special person here. So those of you that have been paying attention know that we actually did a collaborative effort with BG Defense Type A Rifle Company to release a new line of our Gen 2s and Gen 3s. So today I have Brendan here from BG Defense, and we're going to pick his brain a little bit to just kind of get to know him. Brendan, you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, hey, I'm Brandon Gerke. I'm one of the owners here at BG Defense. So BG Defense is the parent company. Type A Rifles the brand. I think we've been in business. I think this is our 12th year, maybe 13th year. So yeah, it's been good. But yeah, I do everything here from product development to paying bills. I mean, you name it. So we all we all play a lot of roles here.
Okay. Well, so some of the people within the airsoft community right now might not be familiar with you guys. So can you tell us a little bit about BG Defense's mission and what sets your firearms apart from the rest on the market?
I mean, it's kind of a long story. My brother-in-law and I think we were at some sort of drinking event back 12, 13 years ago. It was like a beer fest or something. And we had kind of talked about possibly starting a business, and we had been out shooting the day before with a bunch of guys and watching the guys carry their guns in the same boxes that they bought it in. They're all broken up and taped, and they pull out the guns, and these things, brand new, are dented and have blemishes on them. And I'm not naming any brand specifically, but we're just like, man, it just seems like we could do a better job with this. It seems like we could put more energy and effort and put out a better product. And that's kind of where it really started. And then it kind of evolved. The joke that we still talk nowadays was like, we kind of got together, we're like, yeah, we could probably do this for like 10 grand, and then next thing you know, we're millions in debt and have, machines in a building and several employees. And so yeah, 10 grand didn't work, and that's kind of where we are today. So one of the things that we wanted to do, and our focus is we wanted to make things that we thought were cool. We wanted to bring products back that people couldn't get, and we're constantly evolving. I mean, Type A, right? So we're super OCD, and I hate myself. So I'm constantly trying to improve the brand. And that's kind of what drives our company is we're always trying to think of a way to do something better. So you'll see from when we started to where we are now, we've had a lot of different iterations. We're constantly coming out with new products, constantly making the products better. And the customers may not see some of that internally on the outside, but on the inside of the firearm, there's a lot of things that we're constantly trying to do to make it better.
Okay. I mean, one of the things to point out right there is it's incredible how often, drinking can result in some good ideas, right? Business opportunities and everything. Yeah, some bad ones. But that is interesting that you guys noticed a bit of a void, right? Where some companies are putting out maybe subpar materials where you're getting stuff out of the box that's maybe not as, up to spec as it should be. So that is cool that you guys found a little bit of a void that you could have filled there. And I mean, just like how you said, with us, we're always trying to kind of make everything better as well, right? You might not be aware, but recently we released our new Gen 4 line, which was pretty much our, pretty big bump in upgrading our Gen 3s. So a lot of people in the community know that now. One thing that I did notice off of your guys' website is you and Chris have some very, very interesting bio backstories here, all right? So what I want to know is, did your father actually marry his mother?
No, it's a long story. So the way that story kind of happened was the marketing guy came up to us and he was like, hey, you guys got to write bios for the website. And we're like, go. No, I'm not writing that. And obviously we said more words than that, but we're trying to make this PG. And so he's just like, screw it. He just went back in his office in 5 minutes. He had put it up, and then we started getting phone calls. People are like, I read your bio. Like, that's crazy. Hey, my father-in-law owned a deli in the Bronx. Like, what deli did your parents own? I'm like, whoa. What are you talking about? So I pull it up and I'm reading it, and I was like, oh, Jesus, So he had taken a bunch of movies. There is actually some bits of truth in there. But to answer your question, no. Ironically enough, my father is single. Chris's mother is single, and they definitely became really good friends. But no, they're not. They never got married, which would be really messed up, right? Because then that would be.
I mean, they just make you guys brothers,
But then
it'd be okay.
But then he married his sister.
Yeah,
in a sense, right? Like it'd be your stepsister, which would be even weirder. So no, thank God, no, that never happened.
Yeah, that. Well, I mean, hey, I'll give you guys props because those are some interesting little backstories. And for a lot of people that don't know what that's from, that's probably a bit of a head scratcher. But as soon as I read off the bios, I already knew exactly what, where everything was from.
Well, then you and I would be friends, because if you read it and you're like, I don't get this, then we're probably not the same people. But the fact that you got it, that means that you probably understand our humor.
Yeah, as soon as I read the bios, I had a few jokes with one of my coworkers. I was like, I wonder if any one of them ran some M9s across Afghanistan. Right? Yeah. But all right, let's go on to the next one here. So one of the things that I did want to know, even from a personal standpoint, is from all your BG Defense rifles and everything, what's your most popular, most iconic one that you have? Because I'm personally a fan of like the Mark II, right? And that's kind of the one that I like. But I want to know, what's the most popular, what's the most iconic one you guys have?
Probably the SPR. I mean, that's really where we came, and we kind of started with a variant that was very similar to the Mark II when we first started. And we had this product, we thought it was awesome. We suitcased it, and then didn't really make a lot of headway, and I think within like 3 months we really changed it up, and that's when we launched we originally called it the Sipper, and then we ended up calling it the SPR. But that's probably our more iconic rifle. But what we really become known for is really the 2011 or the double stack 1911s, our bolt actions, because we brought back some of those GWAT era guns that you can't find anymore. And then a lot of our resto mods are very popular. Like we do the Gordon, we do the Delta, we do the L19A2. We just released the carbine version of it instead of the NFA version. But in terms of our general product line, it's probably the SPR. That is probably the most iconic. And like you guys, we're kind of moving over to our 4th generation as well. So you guys will see a refresh on the website with a bunch of new products coming out.
That's cool. Yeah, because I did see a few different of your products. Like I know one, I don't know the exact name off the top of my head, but I know you guys did like a Shorty 308. That looks really interesting. That one was nice. I saw someone firing it. It might have been Chris that was firing it on your guys' Instagram. That one was a pretty interesting looking little one.
They're fun. I mean, a lot of people think that the short 308s have a lot of recoil. They're pretty smooth shooting. You do get a lot of powder burn because of the short barrel, but they are very, very smooth actually to shoot.
One thing that I know a lot of people might have questions about in terms of like your guys' firearms is what sets yours apart from others on the market?
Yeah, it's a trick. I mean, it's a tricky question, we get a lot of that. And to be honest with you, it's really tough to talk about yourself sometimes. So when you get that question, you just kind of like, ugh. But I understand. We spend a lot of time on our products. So like when you look at the contractor model, which is our ambidextrous billet model, obviously that starts out of a giant block of aluminum versus a forging. So what people don't understand is we machine that to look like a forging. So if you know anything about machining, we're not using, 45-degree cutters. We're using ball noses, and we're 3D'ing stuff in. So like we're trying to make it look like a forging, even though we 3D'd it. So we're putting a lot more time into our product. Everything's hand finished and hand sanded. So we're touching every surface of those products to make sure they're perfect. There's no dents. There's no inclusions or anything like that.
Yeah, it seems like you guys are paying attention to like a lot of the small details and just getting a lot, like pulling as much quality as you can out of almost every inch of it. One thing that I did want to ask as well is like, I do see that you have kind of a commonality amongst all of your builds, right? So what's one of like the main like key design philosophies you guys have at BG Defense?
In terms of design philosophy, boy, I don't know. We're kind of nostalgic. We kind of like that GWAT era stuff. So a lot of what we try to come out with has more of that 80s, 90s, early 2000s, to be honest with you.
I mean, that's interesting because like a lot of people do just straight sub out their designs, but the fact that you guys took it upon yourselves to like, no, we want to like learn this and be able to do it ourselves, right? Especially if you're not satisfied with what you're getting off of the available market and whoever's making stuff for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably more that, I was doing a terrible job of articulating what we wanted, and then you just get frustrated to the point where you're just like, you know what, this would be way easier if I could just draw it myself.
Do you happen to have any personal experience with airsoft?
I don't. No, I don't know if I got into airsoft at a younger age. I think it was more paintball, which obviously is not, I mean, kind of similar, but not. But no, what I guess I didn't realize is how big that market space is. It's huge. I mean, yeah. It's big.
And then to be fair, a lot of people that play airsoft do start off playing paintball or vice versa, right? A lot of us that started off playing paintball got into airsoft because it's just paint gets too expensive over time, especially with like all the different varieties, and some fields want you to use paint. It can be a bit pricey, right? So airsoft is a little bit more of a easier to get into, right? It's a little bit more cost effective. But have you ever thought about using any of them for training? I believe we are sending you out a few.
Yeah, I mean, that we had that conversation the other day, and after getting the samples that you guys sent us, I was pretty shocked on how great the weight felt. Right, they felt just like a real firearm. Everything from the controls to the furniture. Yeah, I think it's a great tool. I mean, there's a lot of companies out there that, they're trying to take their existing firearm and make it so they can train with it, but the cost of entry with these firearms are so inexpensive that why wouldn't you outfit your guys with because you guys talked about what, COT or propane driven, airsoft,
CO2, propane,
COT.
and green gas.
Yeah, I mean, what a great opportunity. I think it's a great move for you guys. I think that's probably where a lot of the market's moving, and I think it's only going to make guys better because they're going to be training with almost an identical firearm.
Yeah, and then the fact that you can actually model them pretty much exactly as your real rifle, which a lot of people always want, right? Hey, can I make this look exactly like my real rifle? Well, the parts are available. You can actually do that.
Yeah, listen, if when we dress up the ones here, you'd be hard pressed to tell in a photograph which one is an airsoft and which one's a real gun, because they're in terms of how you guys did it, the authenticity is there for sure.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we kind of we take a little bit of pride in there, because we want to make sure that stuff looks as good as it can. Knowing that you haven't had much experience with airsoft, what was your initial impression of airsoft in the community?
I didn't really have one. I didn't really have an initial. And I said this before, and I said it to Chris. I was just really shocked when I started doing the research on what the market space is and how many people, because it's not only big here, but it's big all over. In countries that they can't have firearms. There's a bunch of them out there that airsoft is it, right? So it's driven that market. It's allowed people to do a lot of the clone builds that they want to. I know you guys have been working on some other clone stuff too. And I think it's a great lead into firearms training.
Yeah, and then the fact that airsoft and the firearms industry are consistently evolving kind of always opens the door for new innovations and just new little tidbits that'll help, whether somebody's trying to play or somebody's actually trying to use it for training, right? And then speaking of innovations, so is there anything new and exciting coming to BG Defense? If there is, by chance, can we even, maybe take a sneak peek?
So we have on the Double Stack 19 line, we have a new ported version coming out. And then we're doing an internally comped 2011 as well that will be following up behind that. So that's coming out. On our chassis guns, we're coming out with two different chassis, two new chassis, and then we have the folding model for the stock. So I know a lot of people are excited about the folding version. We got 3 or 4 different muzzle devices coming out. We are working very beginning stages with a 3D printer to come out with a pressure reduced, a reduced blowback suppressor. So that will be coming out here shortly. I think we're going to start with a hub version first, so you guys can run your dead air rear ends, your silencer code, your Surefire rear ends, and then eventually we'll work on our own lockup, whether it's a ground up design or it's a taper lock. So that's coming out, and then we have kind of our Gen 4 revision of all of our firearms. This one's just a prototype. It doesn't have a front side post in it. I don't know if you guys can kind of see this here, but the porting's in the front. So again, there's a little bit of science to the diameter of your holes and how many holes you have. So this will be coming out, and the internally comp will kind of have the same concept. We're not adding any more to the overall length, but it's going to be internally comped, so you won't see it. You're not going to have a big chunky, muzzle device at the front of it.
I mean, yeah, that's a nice little touch there, because now you don't have granted, some people want the additional weight, but because you are ported, you don't even really need it anymore.
Yeah, so that's been going really well. That will be available to order anytime. We're working on website photos right now to update it to let customers start seeing it. The new handle lockup, so you can't really see it because it's obviously the optics underneath it, but there's no visual hardware from the 3 or 6 or 9 o'clock. So the reason why we wanted to do that, we wanted to get away from the timing of the barrel nut. which requires, you to torque it and then properly align it so your screws line up, which, for us here at the shop, we've been doing it for so long, it's very fast. But for, guys that are starting out that don't have a ton of experience, it can be a little frustrating.
A lot of different little design things that you're going to be changing. I'm excited to see what you're going to do with your basically like how you said, like your Gen 4 revisions. I'll see what else that brings to the rest of your products. Now, we're almost at the end here, so I want to give you a chance. Is there anything else you would like to share? Anything you want to tell the viewers about yourself or about BG Defense and Type A as a whole?
Not really. I mean, we love the airsoft market. We love the firearms community. One of the things that I think sets us apart is, we kind of love everybody. There's no reason to bad talk any other companies. There's a lot of great companies out there. There's all room for everybody to compete. Everybody has different tastes and styles, and we're trying to build the things that we like and we think that are cool, and we hope that our customers like it. And we're always open to suggestions, and we're always open for customers to reach out and tell us what they think the market wants, and we'll always be there to listen and hopefully we'll get some cool ideas from it and get some hits out there.
That's a breath of fresh air, I would say, because not a lot of companies will oftentimes listen in that regard, right? If like someone has some sort of criticism, hey, do this, do that. So that's actually nice to hear, knowing that you guys are more open to receiving some sort of ideas, or even if it is criticism, whether it be positive or negative.
Yeah, I mean,
that's actually really nice.
Nobody loves negative criticism, right? But hopefully you can look inside and take it for what it's worth, and at least listen and see both sides. So, but no, we're totally excited. The airsoft market is secretly kind of one of those things you're like, nice. Did we make it yet? I don't think so. We'll never make it. You never feel like you made it. You never feel like you're successful. But the fact that there's airsoft guys out there that want clones of your product, I think it's awesome, and we're super excited.
Yeah, well, as somebody who wants a clone of yours, and I finally got my own, it is a thing that happens. So I do appreciate the fact that you guys are willing to work with us and allow us to do that. Now, before we close it out here, I would like, if you don't want to plug your company and where people can find you.
Yeah, so check us out. We're on Instagram. It's Type A Rifle Co. We're on Facebook as well, but our website, you can either go to bgdefense.com or typearifles.com. It'll take you to the same spot.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Brendan, for all your time. I'm glad that we were able to set this up and get myself and the entire community a little bit more insight on who you are as a person and the company as a whole.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. My name is Anthony with Lancer Tactical, and this has been our interview with Brendan from BG Defense Type A Rifle Company. Thanks for watching.